Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
If you suspect any suspicious thing, report to the police.
Of course, there will always be penalties for non-compliance.
So it's more of a ministry.
It is the duty of police to keep law and order.
Issues at hand. Issues at hand.
Yes, good morning once again and welcome to Issues at Hand. With me today, Hope Nyungereza, and in studio we have a special guest, Mr. Egesa Ronald Leonard. I hope I didn't butcher any name.
Okay.
Yes, a political and business strategist. Now, of course, today we are going to be discussing things to do with politics. As we all know, the campaigns are starting today, but before the campaigns, you all know that we did have our nominations. So today we want to look at the aftermath of the presidential nominations and expectations and the Electoral Commission's roadmap. Yes, there was a roadmap that was released a day or two back regarding the campaign rallies that are going to be going on. So we are going to be discussing all that. So please do stay tuned even as we dive into the conversation. But before we get into that, we would like for Mr. Egesa here to please greet our dear viewer.
Yes, good morning to the listeners and viewers. It's a pleasure for me to be here at Family TV. Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, to start us off, I mean, we did have our nominations not far back, just a few days back, and we are having the campaign rallies beginning today. Just to start us off, how do you think these nominations actually went? What is your view? Yeah, basically.
I think for anybody to understand my view, you need to understand my view on elections in Uganda, especially presidential elections. I hold different views on elections other than the presidential. You see, the presidential elections are a facade in Uganda. That's my view. Now, you see, there are two kinds of strategies that you'll come across. There are people who are theoretical. They deal with the ideal situation, and then there are those of us who deal with reality. Yeah. Now, reality is that presidential elections in Uganda, as long as President Museveni is on the ballot, they are a facade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what I like is that President Museveni is quite clear on these things, though he brings them out in a jocular manner, and sometimes people don't pick the message. He says he's an expert at those things, of organizing elections. Yeah. So my view on elections is that the presidential elections are a facade. Put differently, they are a smoke screen. President Museveni's default setting or factory setting is that he is a military man. Yeah. So being a military man, he believes that he can, whenever he fails to make headway on something, he goes back to factory settings, which is the military.
Yes.
And I am not saying this without basis. I will just roll you back to 2017. Yeah, there was a major stumbling block on his continued reign in power. You know, there was a constitutional provision, Article 102B, as it were, then. So the process started, went to Parliament, and then the opposition put up spirited resistance.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, ironically, the person who coined the phrase "Tojikwatako," the Honorable Norbert Mao,
Yes.
yeah, is actually now inside his cabinet as Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. That is quite ironical. Now, so that process received a lot of backlash from the public as well. So what did President Museveni do? Factory settings. So he removed the clause and now showed us who exactly he is. Yeah, he is a military man who believes that the military is the ultimate arbiter of power in Uganda. So the military took over Parliament. They beat the MPs into submission, and then the Speaker had to preside over Parliament under supervision of the military. Yeah, so in such a state, you have to understand that you are in a country governed by a military government. All else, is phantasmagoria. We're just, dealing with fantasy. That we're going to go into. So do you believe that President Museveni will be on the ballot, and in early next year, after the elections are held, the Electoral Commission returns another candidate as winner? Do you believe it?
No,
you've been in Uganda. No, I want to believe you've lived all your life under President Museveni.
Yes,
I have lived, let me say 98 or 99% of my life under President Museveni. So I have seen this movie before. So when it comes to presidential elections, I will tell you categorically, I deal with reality. And that's why I describe myself as a practical and refined strategist. I don't deal with fantasies. The reality is that presidential elections are a smokescreen. Why am I calling them a smokescreen? A smokescreen in military terms is a trick that they use. They put up a cloud of smoke such that it blurs the vision of those around, and then they can carry out some operations. They can move equipment. They can rescue hostages and these kind of things. So this election is a smokescreen to allow President Museveni complete the transition project or take it a step further. He's just moving the needle. So the transition project, he started by making sure his son rises in the military to the Chief of Defense Forces, the highest position in the military. After rising to that position, now the next thing is he is supposed to come and join the politics and then end up in State House. Now that is exactly what is happening. So this election, unlike all others, all others have been, smoke screens to return the president, but this one specifically has an extra ingredient that it's not just about returning President Museveni. Yes, he's the candidate on the ballot.
Yes.
But after the election, it will now be an MK show. It's going to be an MK show. You will see MK's hand in the cabinet and all that. So now the candidates that were nominated, many of them are just accessorizing this process.
Okay.
So that's why I class these candidates into different groups. And I have been saying, look, you have President Museveni, who knows, who is in charge of the process. So he knows that, the outcome of this election is going to be that I'm announced winner. Now, that is like someone who organizes a wedding. When you organize a wedding, you know you are the groom. It's not debatable. It's predetermined that you are the groom. Now you can choose that if I do the wedding this year and then do an anniversary next year, I can, tinker with the groom's entourage. Now he has been tinkering with that entourage over time. This time round, who are the members of the entourage? Inadvertently, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi is the best man this time. And he was the best man last time round. So now you have, why am I calling him a best man? And why am I saying inadvertently? Because it's not his planning, it's not his wish. But he finds himself as an active player in a process where he has very little control. He can just do so much. Then you have other people like General Gregory Mugisha Muntu. That one is a conviction candidate. He believes in what he's doing. He knows that the result may not favor him this time, but he just believes that this is the right thing I'm supposed to do. I should stick to doing the right thing, and posterity will be kind to me. So that is a conviction candidate. Then you have candidates who are cutting deals. You have candidates who are negotiators. They are trying to prove that, look, I control. For example, the FDC candidate, he will tell you, I control. I still control some, parts of Uganda. Maybe FDC is strong in Bugisu, in Teso, and all that. So it's a negotiation tool. So he's going to try and show that I can actually eat into your main opponent and bring some value to the table. So what is he negotiating for? Two things. He can negotiate for money after the election. He can also negotiate for a position in the post-election cabinet. So that is a negotiation candidate. Then you have guys who are just bringing nonsensical value. Nonsensical value in the sense that they can affect the election. It could be infinitesimal. In mathematics, this is what we call infinitesimal. Small changes. It could add very little, but it actually plays a part. When you come to the finer details. So those are people like, you have a guy like Robert Kasibanti.
Yes.
This guy's names rhyme with Robert Chagulanyi. Now, so our people are illiterate. They can hardly read. Yeah. So a person who is intending to vote Robert Chagulanyi will simply know that the name starts with R and then another one with K, and the party starts with N, ends with a P. Yeah. So those are there. Then you have candidates who are just doing a gig.
Okay.
Yeah? I think you Gen Zs understand gigs.
Yes.
So there are candidates who are doing gigs. So these candidates are put there. They also bring some bit of nonsensical value, but also they divert sections of the population. You know that sections of the population who are extremists or radicals. So someone will say, I will not vote for the main alternative. I don't like President Museveni. The main alternative is Robert Chagulanyi, but I don't like him. Let me go for somebody who is maybe of my religious beliefs, my religious denomination, or somebody who is from my ethnic group. Okay.
Yes.
So when they are identifying these gig candidates, there are some of the factors that they take into consideration. For example, they say the NUP is strong in Kampala, but Kampala has a very strong Muslim presence. So there are those Muslims who will say we are just going to vote a Muslim.
Yes.
So bring Munyagwa Mubarak, and he will tick off some of those boxes. Yeah. So these are gig candidates, and who is responsible for gig candidates? The deep state. So the deep state brings gig candidates in the election. They facilitate the process, give them signatures and all that. Where more serious candidates fail to raise these things, then they give them. They will make these things available to them, and there you go.
Yes,
you have the candidates. You have the 8 candidates. That's it. So now the question on.
The question.
Manifesto?
Okay, before we head into that, we did mention about the signatures. Now, we did have some candidates saying that they gathered the signatures. Yes, and I mean we did have people like Katumba Oye.
He was also on a gig the previous election. Now the point is when you go for a gig, if you and I go and identify an opportunity for a gig, we go for an audition. Yeah.
Yes.
If you win the audition, you are taken. You progress to the next stage, and then I am dumped. So take it that Katumba Oye failed the audition. Simple.
Now,
the other guys on gigs also failed auditions.
Yes. Would you? But okay, if we just briefly, would you think that you'd actually have the potential?
Who? Katumba? No. There is somebody whom the deep state feels. The deep state actually has people who do actual research. They go on the ground. They feel the pulse of the nation. The intelligence machinery feels the pulse of the nation. They are able to identify and know that, okay, you see, Katumba Oye the other time was on a gig, but he also brought nonsensical value. Now, when you have John Katumba, and you have Robert Kasibante now polls better than John Katumba. So you bring Robert Kasibante.
No.
So Katumba, I think he failed to read the room.
Okay.
Or probably the sponsor was boxed out and the deep state took over.
Now, would you say that this nomination process was fair?
There is nothing fair in a process managed by the military. The military is not an institution for delivering justice. It's not an institution for equitable treatment of people. The military operates on one principle: the end justifies the means. Yeah. If the means bombing the place to ashes, it will do that. Just that. Yeah. So you cannot put justice and the military in the same sentence. The moment I tell you that this is a process, a managed exercise by the military, then you cannot talk of justice. Yeah. So those two don't exist in the same sentence.
Okay.
Yes.
So we were heading into the manifesto. You are going to give us more details on that. The different manifestos that these candidates have actually brought up. What can you tell? Okay, some are actually going to be unveiled in the days to come. I did see some will be unveiled tomorrow. I mean, the incumbent is unveiling his tomorrow in Luweero district. Some on Wednesday. So what can you give us about that? What opinion? Basically, we are dealing with opinions and analyzing.
Yeah.
I mean, from the...
No worries, I've understood your question. Let me ask you. You see, the leaders we get are a mirror image of the society in which we live.
Yes.
All right? So, I will want to use you as an example. What was your budget last year, 2024?
In terms of...
Revenue and expenditure.
Yeah, I don't know how I can.
Thank you
do
very
that.
much. You've just answered my question. So this is a society where we do not have accountability as part of our social fabric. Yeah? A manifesto is supposed to be a social contract that a leader or an aspiring leader makes with the people. He says, I am making promises. Yeah? If you elect me, this is going to be my guiding document.
Yes.
It's just like a budget. You would say, okay, we aspire to raise this revenue and spend this. Our societies, in fact, for me as a businessman, when I tell people, go out and try to win over customers, and then they come back and tell me, they said it wasn't in the budget, I tell them, no, go back. Yeah, pitch differently. Africans don't operate on budgets.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
Africans don't operate on manifestos.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been in Kenyan politics. It's the same debate we've been having. Come to Uganda. If I want to roll, if you allow me to roll you back, 1996 was the first election organized by President Museveni. After ruling for 2 unelected terms, he organized the first election. He had a very good manifesto. I was a primary school kid at the time the election was held. And I was an ardent fan or supporter of President Museveni. I followed every radio program. I read every article in the newspaper. I can tell you that the things he promised, the only thing you could say he delivered was universal primary education to 4 children. He had promised to 4 children. The rest of the things were neither here nor there. And guess what? Nobody could hold him to account in the next election cycle. Neither was the opposition saying that you promised this and didn't deliver. No. The game was, you should go, Ajagenda. That was the slogan of the opposition. The main opposition candidate in 2001, Dr. Kizza Besigye, was Ajagenda. He has to go. So in other words, from 2001 onwards, 2006, 2011, 2016, 2021, and now 2026, elections are not about manifestos. They are not about issues. Elections in Uganda are a referendum on President Museveni. You get? Now, that is reality. If you want fiction, go to NGO guys. NGO guys, of course, will analyze they're pretending to be doing analysis. But I'm telling you that if you want reality, here an election is a Museveni referendum. The Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi will tell you that we are removing a dictator. Even in the slogan they have selected, a new Uganda. They're simply saying a new Uganda after President Museveni. So the actual issue in this election is the people who are going to be voting against President Museveni are saying, can we have an alternative? We don't care what they bring. And people will tell you, if you talk to some of the people who vote Robert Kyagulanyi, especially amongst the elites, they tell you he may not be the most qualified, but he has the best chance of removing President Museveni. It was the same case in 2016 when you had the retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. People were telling you, Mbabazi would maybe make a better president, but he doesn't have what it takes to win the election. Dr. Kizza Besigye remains the most viable option. So people here don't vote manifestos. So for me to come here and we begin discussing manifestos is one, to show that we are out of touch with reality. Number 2 is to mean that we are gaslighting Ugandans. So that's why I tell you that as a practical strategist, I prefer to discuss the actual issues on the ground. So if we are going to change what dictates the outcome of our elections, then we have to start with a cultural change, a social cultural change with our young people. So when you go to different places like Kenya, what determines the outcome of an election is not a manifesto. It is ethnicity. So that's why people always tell you that a Kenyan election is an ethnic census. So they organize around ethnicities. So even in Kenya, if you start discussing manifestos, you are gaslighting Kenyans. So there is no such thing as manifestos playing a pivotal role here. It is purely comedy, sloganeering, and all that. If you ask someone who followed the 2021 election and you ask them, what was the main difference between the NRM-O manifesto and the NUP manifesto? Can you tell me one?
I don't think many would even know that. Unfortunately.
People will not tell you.
Yes.
And you cannot blame them. It's just that the reality on the ground is that our elections are a referendum on President Museveni. Yeah. So the people who are going to vote against him now are saying, we don't want you, and we don't want you to impose your son on us. Okay? So that is the overriding sentiment for the people who are anti-Museveni.
Currently.
Then the others are saying, we are comfortable with the status quo. Yeah? If the status quo morphs into an MK presidency, so be it. So it's basically a referendum on President Museveni.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I humbly request to decline your invitation to discuss manifestos.
Manifestos. Okay, the discussion here is getting quite interesting, but we are going for a short commercial break, but please do stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
Issues at hand. Issues at hand.
Yes, welcome back. And of course, with me is Mr. Egesa Ronald Leonard, a political and business strategist. Now, today we are discussing things to do with presidential nominations, expectations, and the Electoral Commission's roadmap. Yes, even as we start our campaigns today. And of course, it's going to be a 90-day period. So this is the season. Now, Mr. Egesa, the Electoral Commission's roadmap. I mean, we have seen, again, the rallies are beginning today. They have released a roadmap so far for the rallies. Of course, we are seeing different candidates in different places. We are seeing His Excellency is going to be in Kampala today. We have Robert Kyagulanyi in Jinja. So one wonders, why couldn't they have maybe the rallies in the same place?
Let's try to be optimistic first. Having the rallies in the same place, and especially if you have the two leading contenders, could present a logistical overload for the police. Yeah, that is supposed to maintain public order. So, give them a benefit of the doubt and believe that in good faith, they are acting in good faith, and they have said, okay, let's guide the candidates to operate in different areas, especially the leading contenders.
Yes.
Now, be that as it may. Now let's deal with reality.
Yes.
Yeah? So reality is the Electoral Commission is not fully in charge of the election.
Okay.
Yeah? Why? Because you are going to see violence, like the normal script is.
Yeah.
Who is going to bring violence? The police. Yeah? The police is going to bring violence. Why is the police going to bring violence? Because now the police in Uganda has been turned into an appendage of the military. So the police has been militarized. Similarly, the Electoral Commission is militarized. So every institution in Uganda is militarized. Yeah? So because of the military's overreach in most of these institutions, if the people at the helm of the military don't want, let's say the NUP candidate to have a peaceful rally in a certain area, they are going to influence their people in the police to beat up supporters and create some kind of chaos. And then you will come up with the same scenes of a violent electoral campaign. Now, so what does that mean? It means that the Electoral Commission's roadmap is as good as the paper on which it is written. Beyond that, the Electoral Commission cannot enforce anything.
Yes.
It cannot guarantee, for example, the Electoral Commission cannot guarantee a peaceful campaign. Under a normal society, the Electoral Commission would be now the one saying, police, here, don't do this. Stop this. They would protest and they would be the ones guiding the police on what constitutes excesses and what constitutes normal behavior. But that is not the case. Yeah? They will look on helplessly. They will send their spokesperson to defend the indefensible. They will look on helplessly, and I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
This is the real Uganda in which we live. You will seek uncoordinated statements coming from the Electoral Commission. Why? Because they are also playing safe. They do not want to contradict the military. Yeah?
Yes.
So they do not want to contradict the status quo. And then they are pretending to be organizing a credible election. How can that election be credible? You see? So, like I said, the Electoral Commission's roadmap is as good as the paper on which it is printed. Yeah?
So, okay.
Yeah? So don't expect much. You expect the clashes to come in. They will tell you. And let me tell you, even if the opposition supporters and the candidates decide to play by the book, yeah? The skirmishes will still come up. Why? They will be instigated by the police. Why? Because the police have chosen to play dirty. Why? Somebody is puppeteering them. Somebody is telling them, no, this should not happen.
Yes.
Yeah? So you'll have those, back and forth. So you have different players, the military and intelligence organs, they are also, strongly involved in the election. Then the police is there. It is now the one interfacing, they are the ones in the contact spot. They are getting in contact with the supporters. But where the NRM candidate will be, you'll see that everything will be calm and the campaigns will move on smoothly and all that. So that is what we've gotten used to. We are just having another episode. There's a TV station which used to say back in the day that Afro cinema continues shortly. Yeah? So Yuga cinema continues shortly in terms of elections. So that is what I can tell you about the Electoral Commission's roadmap, just as good as the paper on which it is printed.
But do you believe that we can actually, as a country, have a peaceful election without having violence, chaos, clashes?
It is possible to have peaceful elections at the parliamentary level, at the presidential level. Yeah, it may be a dream, a pipe dream for the moment, but of course it is possible. It all goes back to the person at the helm. Yeah, what is the mindset? Yeah, if the person at the helm has a mindset of wanting to be judged by the quality of elections, they will leave the institutions to play their role.
Yes.
They will simply say, police, please do not vulgarize the process. Military, don't interfere. That is what will happen. Is that what we have here? I don't think so. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yes. Now, comparing, we are looking at the aftermath of the presidential nominations. Comparing to this year and the previous years, can you say this has been a better one?
Oh yes, I also expect even the subsequent processes to be less violent than the previous one. The previous one, there was a greenhorn and wild card politician in Robert Chagulanyi.
Yes.
He was not a known quantity. Yeah? So there was a kind of a shock effect on the military and on President Museveni himself. So they did not really know how to deal with him. Yeah? But trust me right now, sections of the President Museveni household have cut deals with him. Now they know what they can do. So he's a known quantity now. So I don't really expect that, they will make blunders like they made last time.
Yes.
So I expect a slight improvement in the process. So the way I'm looking at it, it will be better. Like you see the nomination last time, I think it was worse. There are even other candidates who, there's a candidate who went for nomination without shoes. But he was just in a comedy, a tragic one at that.
And we did see a lot of that.
Because they were still being financed by the deep state. That same candidate who went in shoes, without shoes. Yeah. So, in other words, now that there is no unknown quantity amongst the candidates, it is a managed exercise. So they know everything. So all the parameters are known. When you're solving a number and you know how to deal with, with all the parameters that are in there, it becomes a smooth exercise.
Yes.
So I don't expect it to get so bad like it was last time. Yeah. So, and also it helps with the public relations such that the election goes, and then the transition is managed beyond. President Museveni can draft his son into the cabinet. He can appoint an MK-friendly cabinet, and then they will start, kind of a shared presidency with MK, and that is how the script will play out. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we did see a few female candidates, or aspirants rather. We did see a few female aspirants, applying, but of course, I guess none of them did not go through for certain reasons. But we also did see independent. We have not seen any independent candidate come through. Well, what's your take on that?
Let me first deal with the issue of women candidates. Women in Uganda, you need to understand the social fabric of Uganda before you look at why there are no women candidates. Women in Uganda do not put their money, they are risk averse. They do not put their money where the outcome is not certain.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah, so women in Uganda follow the maxim that take a cent of all over. Yeah? They don't gamble with their money. Yeah. So the past, the past trends in electoral politics of Uganda show you that from 2006 you had Miria Kaluobote. 2011 you had Betty Olive Namisango Kamia. 2016 you had Maureen Faith Chalia Walube. 2021 you had Nancy Kalembe. These were largely NGO candidates. So there are feminist organizations in Europe that usually come to finance these candidates. So these women were not using their money. And then for Betty Kamya, it was not even just about NGOs. She was a deep state candidate to serve a certain purpose. And as they say, time exposed her. She ended up where the sponsors were. So these women were NGO financed, most of them. Now, what has happened on the NGO terrain is that the United States Agency for International Development was closed, and it used to finance most of the NGOs. So most of the programs in democracy, governance, and politics were financed by USAID, not just in Africa, not just in Uganda, globally. It was the biggest globalist organization. So because this organization was closed by President Trump, taps dried for NGOs. So the NGO world has been a very constrained world in terms of finances. So now, in the absence of those finances, you can't have female candidates. So the alternative would be that you would have women who have their money and they're willing to gamble with it. Because even the trends show you that the votes garnered by female candidates were decreasing from 2005 up to 2021. They were reducing.
Yes.
None of them had managed to gather 1 percentage point. Yeah. So you go into that gamble with your money if you have enough of it,
Yes.
and if you are not risk averse. Now, women in Uganda are risk averse; they don't gamble with their money. Yeah. So now the other thing you talked about, the independent candidates. Two possibilities. It could be that the Electoral Commission had a certain number of candidates that they wanted for different reasons. There are reasons I am aware of as an expert in elections. I will not disclose them here,
Yes.
but those reasons dictate that you keep the number of candidates as minimal as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, the ideal number would be 4.
Yeah.
In worst case scenario, 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Electoral Commission now will come up with kind of shenanigans to lock out guys.
Exactly.
Now, and the filter they used to lock out guys was signatures. They said we're going to verify signatures.
Yes.
Now, most of these independent candidates were either just trying to have their day in the sun, to have media coverage and all that. They are not serious characters. Others were creating TikTok content. Yeah, others were probably thinking that you can just go pick people, they sign for you and all that.
And that's it.
Others used to be deep state candidates. They would be given signatures. This time around, these people chose that will not give you. The audition has returned different guys who are on parties, but there are parties which are as good as independent candidates. Take for example the party of Frank who.
Is it the common?
Bulinga, the last candidate,
Yeah,
the Revolutionary
so-
People's Party. Do you know anybody who is a member of that party?
No, actually.
Do you know the Secretary General?
No.
It's just a briefcase outfit.
Yeah, actually, there's some candidates that came up, and I think most
he's
of
as
us
good
were
as an
surprised.
independent candidate. So we shouldn't really dwell so much on the absence of independent candidates. You look at Munyagwa Mubarak. Yeah, apart from him and his Secretary General, who have been around the political scene for some time, and maybe his family. Do you know any other members of the Common Man's Party, the Rusania Party?
Actually,
Nothing. So he's as good as an independent candidate. A person who failed to win a parliamentary seat.
yeah.
Eh?
How do we expect?
How do you expect him to put up a show at the presidential level? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
So this guy is as good as independent. Yeah, so we shouldn't read so much into
Okay,
that.
now briefly, we have seen a lot of voter bribery. We have seen a lot of money move among the people. How do you think, of course, this affects us as people, as individuals? Just briefly.
So there are two things that define the legacy of President Museveni when it comes to electoral politics, and I have stated this time without number. Two things. One is militancy. So when you talk of elections in Uganda, you expect militancy. That's part of the legacy of President Museveni. The second thing is money. Yeah. So as a result of that second factor, money, so you now have what we would call an election economy. Yeah. So Ugandans have now become used to the election economy surging. Yeah. Around election time. Each time, we're going for elections, there are people who know that I am doing, my investment is in sound systems. I am going to make a killing. I am doing printing. I'm going to make a killing. So the election economy now means that, our money will not go away as a factor in our elections because there are many parties that are benefiting. So it has a multiplier effect. Yeah, the guys at NASA Road who are into this printing business.
A lot.
Yeah, they don't want to hear you talk about taking money out of elections. Yeah, the people who are who are operating businesses like sound
Systems.
The people who are having these vehicles moving people around and all that, they know that election is their best time. Yeah, in a period of say 5 years, they know this is the time that I have to hit it and hit it big. Yeah, so money is not about to go away, and you'll see it's the trend in many of these emerging emerging democracies, or what I call countries with democracy on stilts, propped up democracy, We do not have a democracy that is fit for purpose. We do not have a democracy that captures the aspirations of our people. We do not have a democracy model that is representative of the societal setting in which we are. Yeah, what we have is a propped up democracy, propped up by foreign NGOs. Yeah, and of course our leaders play to it for protection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we did see that elections have been different. I mean, this time they have been, or should I say, the nomination process, like you said earlier, has been a bit better compared to rather the previous election. We have seen. Okay, basically, if you'd give us your opinion on what you think this coming election would be like. I mean, we used to see a lot of chaos. I mean, NUP was a bit chaotic
the chaos
last
will be there.
time. But now, at least, even with the things, you remember days before the nominations, he did not have signatures. Before, the NUP of before, they would cause a lot of chaos, you know. But now it was peaceful. They're like, it's okay. We'll go get more signatures. So, how do you think this coming election will be like come 2026?
Of course, there are certain things that will remain constant. Expect to have an internet blackout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you are running a business which is, you know, based on internet, plan for that time.
Plan earlier.
Plan for a downtime of 2, 3, or 5 days.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Why? Because President Museveni is a military man who does not take chances. He does not take chances. He will not gamble with that. Internet is a very big risk. The biggest risk in this election is internet. Yeah. Now the other risks, of course, and now internet helps him to actually manage the other risks. Yeah. For example, you and I know that the opposition is very popular in Kampala and in the wider Kampala metropolitan area.
Yes.
Let's say Buganda, then Busoga. Yeah. And these are places that are either in the capital or just an hour's distance from the capital. Yeah. So what happens is that if you leave internet on, transmission of results is more efficient in that same area where the sitting president is not popular, no matter what he does. Yeah. So it means that if you allow people to start voting at the same time in the morning, the counting, because people here are very vigilant and they're worked up, the counting will be concluded very fast and people will start exchanging results. Yeah. And then radio stations, many of them are even concentrated in the same area. So a narrative will be created by the public that the opposition has taken the lead. Let's say Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi has taken the lead. We have totaled up. Even media houses can even try to do tallying. They'll tell you, according to what we have,
seems like
Robert Kyagulanyi has taken the lead. Now that is the biggest risk. Yeah, in an election, President Museveni will never allow that to happen. It cannot happen over his dead body. It will never allow that. He will never allow that to happen. So that's why I tell you that switching off internet is a given. Yeah, because he knows. That's why you'll see the same story we've been seeing. You will see on election night, the chairman of the Electoral Commission will come and say, provisional update number 1, Karamoja. They will send the Karamoja results. And until President Museveni has scored 98%. From Karamoja, they will switch to Chiruhura. Yeah? And how it beats common sense. How the Electoral Commission, without internet for the rest of the country, is able to return results of Karamoja before returning results of Kampala.
Yes.
Yeah? But it's because the narrative must be that President Museveni must not trail at any point in the release of results. So he must be leading from start to finish. So when I tell you it is a military managed exercise, even those results, the Electoral Commission chairman has no control over which results come in first. Somebody puppeteering him is sending in those results. Please read this now. So they send him after they have been vetted by the military. Then he will read. Okay, now after Karamoja, we have now brought in Northern Uganda, yeah, which are also very popular. Remember, there is no Luo candidate right now. Northern Uganda is now firmly under the NRM. UPC candidates were not successful. So now they start reading for you. Now Northern Uganda, actually sub-region, they'll start reading a few districts here, there and there. President Museveni will still be in the lead. So what they'll do is they start with President Museveni in the 90s, in the 80s, then his percentages will keep dropping. So as they start integrating in results from the Kampala metropolitan area, the Busoga sub-region, the percentages keep dropping up to the percentage they have decided to give him. That's how it plays. So it's a managed exercise by the military. So let's not kid ourselves that it's going to be any different. That is how it's going to happen.
But let us pray it is different.
No. You see, the thing here is, like I've said, we sometimes want to overburden God. Me, that's my view. God has given us brains. He has given us the ability to judge what is right and what is wrong. You mean these people doing these things do not know that this is unfair, this is uncalled for? They just choose to do it because they are selfish. Yeah, they don't want to get out of power. So they say, it's fair game. You know, it's like a war. They say in war and in love, everything is fair. Yes. Yeah, so you don't have to expect anything different. The skirmishes will be here and there during the campaigns and all that, because maybe they just want to provoke the other guys, disorganize them and all that. But I expect it to be at a lower scale, unless, of course, something else. The only hope we have of returning a different result from President Museveni at the presidential level is through an act of God.
Okay, that's interesting.
Or if he chooses to play a Congo-Kinshasa. You know, in Congo, the third candidate was announced winner. Yeah. So you can cut a deal. He can decide to cut a deal with another candidate and say, look, you're the safest pair of hands. This is what we expect to do after the election. Let's give you the victory. Okay. And like I said, the results are vetted by the military before they are handed to the Electoral Commission. So they will give him results to read showing a different candidate. I think it's very far away from happening. It's not likely to happen. I expect that President Museveni will be returned winner. Yeah, predetermined.
Okay.
Yeah, some script.
In just a minute, any last thing you'd like to say? Maybe advice to the viewer, whichever.
I think I advise viewers to concentrate a lot on the lower elections, the local government leaders, the mayors at LC3 in the town councils, the LC5 chairman. Try to elect people who have an impeccable track record. The members of parliament, don't elect people who are giving you money. Elect people that can do representation, legislation and oversight. People who are, who have demonstrated that they can break down issues, they can read documents and articulate what they see wrong in those documents. So that is what you require for oversight. So people should concentrate on those other elections and return leaders that can make a difference. Yeah, for the presidential, there's nothing much they will do. The result is predetermined.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Egesa. And of course, that has been Egesa Ronald Leonard, a political and business strategist. And of course, we have gotten a lot of insights from this discussion. It has been a very interesting one. And of course, we do want to say thank you once again for joining us and giving us some of your insights and opinions.
My pleasure.
Yes. And yes, we have come to the end of our show this morning. We do want to say thank you for staying tuned to Church of Uganda Family TV here on Arise Family and of course Issues at Hand. Now my name is Hope Nyongeza and I do wish you a blessed day. However, I'll be seeing you later, but also do stay tuned for Coffee Break with Rita Nandera. Have a good day.
Issues at Hand